I would like to share with you some of my thoughts and reflections on what would be the Jesuit perspectives on education. Something new, something ever growing. And the Jesuit way of proceeding, it is always a challenge for apostolic aggressivity. Whatever you do it not on a superficial level, but in depth. And the spirit of Magis would be permeating all through. I'm sure you heard about this word Magis any number of times. It's a Latin word meaning better. But always we add ever more, ever better. You may know the Jesuit constitutions is used as textbooks in IIMs, and the Jesuit administrations are studied by many international organizations. And the constitution itself, if you read, 85% of the Jesuit constitutions is about formation, how you form a Jesuit. Only 15% is an administration. That is because he wanted the Jesuits to excel in everything they do. Not only academic excellence, but that should be effective. Today, there are 16,000 Jesuits working in 112 countries, and Jesuits are running more than 200 universities and colleges. And the purpose of education is universal harmony and social transformation. It is not simply get a diploma and degree, you go up the scale. And you know the importance of education, only I want to cite how it has been important down the centuries. Confucius said already in the 5th century before Christ, if your plan is for 1 year, plant rice, you won't go hungry. If your plan is for 10 years, plant trees that will protect you. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. So we are in that noble mission. And again, Plato, in the book The Republic, says you have to bring out the talent from the students, not putting knowledge into the students. The students are not empty boxes. They come with some knowledge, some experience, maybe positive, maybe not that positive, but you are to bring it out. And that context only says students need gymnastics or gym and music for the integral formation. So in this context, our challenge is whether we are imparting education for power and affluence or for meaningful life and service of the needy. Are we giving the education for individual to go up the social ladder or for the horizontal enrichment of the society? Education is not for polarizing, for creating elite and illiterate, but rather galvanizing people, social transformation. We are not imparting education to a few individuals who can otherwise also afford to study, for those who cannot otherwise get into university. And like any other evolution, education also has its evolution. People have been learning from the beginning ever since they came into the face of the earth. The physical evolution is over. People from zoology and biology would agree with me. The next is the thought evolution. It's called noosphere. The word found or coined by Father Teilhard de Chardin, a Jesuit, a scientist. And he would say the science and technology is the byproduct of this thought evolution. You can check the IQ of the children today is much higher than the IQ of children maybe 10 years ago. But there is another evolution, psychoevolution. The Homo habilis, the various stages are named by scientists. The Homo habilis, they invented sound for communication. The Homo erectus, those people who could go straight, they discovered fire. Ever since they discovered fire, life is not the same. Today, scientists would say if you eat raw food, it takes 17 hours for digestion. If you cook the food, it takes 3 to 4 hours for digestion. That's why maybe we are eating 3 times a day, sometimes more than that. But Homo sapiens, we belong to that category that developed language, starting from symbols, then language proper. So the learning leads to power. Power over nature, power over others, but it should not end in power struggle. We are working to impart education for harmony, for a global society where we can form them. So looking at the perspectives of education, especially in our context, is a response to the youth who are most in need. That's why you will hear again and again the Jesuits' preferential option for the poor and the marginalized, and we have taken a stand, preferential option for the Dalits and the rural poor. We have to bring out the students from the confusion to clear direction to go forward. The students are not able to decide today. Who decides the students should go for engineering and medical? The parents. Sometimes they are forced. And that is one of the reasons why students are not interested in that. So we have to accompany the students, educate the heart first, and then the mind later, not the other way about. We might have the tendency to educate the mind, covering or uncovering syllabi, conducting exams, produce the degree. But heart is important, values, compassion, understanding, service. In this sense, the education is the meeting point or melting pot of culture and values. We are in a culture. We take what is good in the culture but try to transform what is not so good in the culture. We are dealing with individual ambition and goals, at the same time the needs of the people. So education might be for the upward mobility, but then the danger is there whether we are preparing them to have more money or to have a better mindset. The education need not prepare the youth only for employment, but development of culture. And they should be agents of change, and they should be building blocks in the nation or society building, and that is our privilege as well as the challenge. And Jesuit education focuses on mission, that is empowerment of the marginalized, and the key of empowerment is education. Ignatius was a military general. During his lifetime was Martin Luther, who was challenging the Catholic Church. He was a great intellectual, a theologian. But Ignatius had the dilemma how to counteract Luther. He had few companions, but he said, what can we do? A few. Instead of we going and telling the people what is right or wrong, people should be able to think for themselves. So he said education is a must. And Ignatius himself was not educated. He was good in military things. So at the age of 33, he went to school, sat with the children, and started learning Latin. In those days, you start with Latin, only philosophy and theology are there offered in the university. That is why even if you do your doctoral studies in science, you are called Doctor of Philosophy. This is the remnant of that. Then he went over to the University in Salamanca, University of Paris. He got his master's degree. Then they started the whole education things. mainly to make the people think. And for Jesuits, the Jesuit should be ready to go wherever he is sent for greater need. And Ignatius in the Constitution specifies what are the houses where the Jesuits stay. The formation houses, the institutions like Loyola, new institutions, and home for the elderly. And one thing he says, the road. Road is a home for the Jesuits. That's why you see most of the time we are on the road. But going to do what is greater need for the people. So the basic assumption of the Jesuit education is we do what is most needed for the people. There is no fixed mission for the Jesuits. Where there is greater need, you go there. So initially they started being Jesuits belonging to a religious order. They said, we'll take care of the soul. They started spiritual ministries. Soon they said, what is soul without the body and mind? So they started intellectual. They started the schools and colleges. In 1548, they started the first college. The Jesuit order was founded in 1540. And then 1551, they started the Roman College. Today it is called Gregorian University. About 80% of the bishops in the world are formed there. 1599, the Jesuits wrote what's it called Ratio Studiorum, the rationale of study. How to teach, how to study. This is followed even today in Europe and in our own system. So they are the masters of education. Then they said, intellectual alone is not enough. We have to address the social needs. Who needs most? The poor and the oppressed. We have to go for the affirmative action. The rich people can study anyway. The affluent people or influential people can find their educational institutions anywhere. But we go for it. Then they realized, well, there is one more area, political area, human rights, very important. This was the time when the Portuguese and Spanish were founding their colonies in South America. The slaves were bought in Africa and they were used for plantation. Jesuits argued they are also human beings. And people said, no, they are not exactly human beings. They are subhuman beings, it is okay. But just to disprove, Jesuits went and bought colonies and they started 31 colonies. They called Jesuit republics in Paraguay, Bolivia, Uruguay, all those places. And they also bought Jesuits but told them, you are all free. We work in a cooperative way. In the 16th century, they had the system Monday through Friday you work in the common farm, Saturday, Sunday you work your private farm. Each one was given private property. Sunday afternoon it is get together, cultural activities. They were given training in music, sculpture, embroidery. They brought the embroidery done by the people to European market and they could not make a difference between them and others. So they proved that given a chance, even the slave can outsmart others. And that was also one of the reasons why Jesuit order was suppressed for 41 years. In the recent past, the Jesuits said, we need economic reformation. We ought to uplift and empower the suppressed. People who are at the periphery of the society should come to the center, the whole of the general congregation. Whenever the Father General dies, there is a general congregation to elect. All other congregations, every 6 years they ought to meet. But Ignatius said, you work wherever you are, let the general be for life. In the Catholic Church, two people are elected for life, the Pope and the Jesuit general. The Pope is called White Pope because he puts on the white dress. The Jesuit general is called Black Pope because he puts black dress. He said, you do the work, general will do the work there, but you work for the empowerment. So Jesuit education is holistic formation for social transformation. It is not the individual our focus. It goes beyond. So this is what the evolution of Jesuit education. They started with the soul of the person, went to the holistic formation, but leading to the social transformation. So this is the concept. I have taken a few points from Father Kolvenbach, the former general of the Jesuits. He delivered it in June 1989 in USA. I was there present for the talk because I was studying there. He said Jesuit education is comprehensive, not in the subject, but in mind and heart. It is world affirming. You are not preparing an individual for his family, for his society, for global leadership. And hence, our student, whether he or she has a social responsibility. It is altruistic. It is not me-oriented. It is not selfish. Others-oriented. And promotion of justice is that responsibility. Our education will be multidisciplinary, but it should be value-oriented. Even our research should be for the good of the social need. And looking at the uniqueness of Jesuit education is, Father Pedro Arrupe said there should be men and women for others and with others. They should take their stand with those in need. So Jesuit education is interactive and experiential. It is not lecture oriented. Interaction with them, listen to them. They may have a different outlook, and you are going with your experience, the student is coming with his or her experience. There is interaction. We enrich each other. We are very fond of saying, Ignatius will say, in giving we receive. You give your experience, the student gives his goal or his frustrations or her goal. So we also take care of the person. In this way, education is flexible and adaptable. I'm very happy to know that Loyola is sensitive to these needs. You look at the various courses. Even this year, a couple of new courses are coming into existence. Keep in touch with the society. And your experience should blend with the experience of the students. The experience of the students in the world, the application in the classroom should mingle and blend so that he or she emerges as a leader. Jesuits institutions are called liberal arts and science. We are not going into particular thing. We don't have any medical college. We have only 3 engineering colleges. The one in Loyola is the 3rd engineering college. That also started, the first college came about 20 years ago. Liberal arts and science. Capacity building. And this mission is building networking. I'll come to that later. But the purpose is preparing the students to go into the world for service of justice. Faith that does justice. This is a favorite theme of Pope Francis. It is from the General Congregation of 34 of the Jesuits. So we have to anticipate the formation of the students. While enriching them, we have to make them to live fully and for the people outside. So pictorially, this could be the Jesuit education. You start with the marges. Go clockwise. Women and men for and with others. Care of the person, cura personalis means care of the person. And then the person should be fully formed in the heart and mind. All these at Maiorum Dei Gloriam, wherever you go in the Jesuit house, you find AMDG. It is the service of God in the service of the people. And that formation is through education. Education makes them agents of change. And looking at India, what is the need? About 1/3 of the Indian youth fall in the age group of 10 to 24. So all our students fall into this category. And our education could create opportunity, could also create threats due to the influence from outside. We have to discern all the time. Our present system is described as the banking model. In the bank, you go and put your money, and when it's needed. And we have done good job in the past, but we have trained a lot of administrators, IAS, IPS. About 20 years ago, if you go and take a statistics, about 1/3 of the IAS, IPS officers would be either from Loyola or from St. Joseph's Trichy. We have done. But have we prepared any charismatic leaders, especially political leaders with values, or social and religious reformers? It's time that we have to think about that. This book is not going to give you, the lecture is not going to give you, your mentoring, your accompanying, your being a role model would do that. So one thing is the skill-based education, participatory and field training. Allow the student to come up, allow them to have a self-actualization. The rural youth need to gain confidence. Once they come and look at the building, they get, I cannot study. And the first day come to class, everybody is rattling off in English. He said, no, sure, I cannot study. If you don't address that, it's going to continue. They will not concentrate. So the mentoring and individual care, that will help them to go up the ladder. So we may train them for employment, but it is better to make them creator of jobs. They should become entrepreneurs. That is our aim. The Skill India program the government has introduced, they are very much for vocational institutes, and we could combine them or imbibe them into our system. And in the placement, people today, they say there is more opportunity in arts and science than in professional colleges. More ITI students are getting employed than IIT students. More students from politics get better employment than students who are completing engineering. Or they're getting the same salary, 15,000 to start with. And the students are going to get the same salary if they are going to be employed here. So why to spend 4 years? And I'm very happy Loyola management in the hostel, they introduced this Yearn While You Learn program. We can enhance it. So we have to keep in mind the uniqueness of individuals. We are not in an academic factory where everything has to be prepared in the same way. In a factory, you see anything you buy, there will be a label at the back, QC, quality control. The machines are there, they check whether there is any crack inside, especially the metal things, and then they say pass it. We are not mass producing individuals. Rather, individuals is unique. I want to quote from Thoreau, the American naturalist and the philosopher. one of the places during my annual visit in Boston College to go to the pond where he spent time. He says, if a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drama. Let him step to the music which he hears, however measured or far away. Each one may have their own antenna, their own frequency. That does not mean you allow them to go wherever they want, but understand, bring them. That's what they say. If you enter through his door or her door, bring her through our door back. Identify the talents in each one and nurture them. There is no sacredness in completing the training and getting them unemployed. What is important, whether the person is happy, whether the person is able to meet the challenges in life, whether as a teacher I am able to inspire him and accompany him. This accompaniment is not during these 3 years or 5 years, it is for life. Some of the students do get back. Sometimes I get from a student after a few years, they ask me, where are you? I want to get in touch. So nice to hear from them after so many years. So we could also think of other models. I'm sure you are familiar with this. In Finland, till the age of 7, they don't go to school. The whole of high school time, there is no homework. Not to watch TV or play with cell phones. They say spend time with your people. Build the bond in the family. Grow in the culture. The school final year, there is an exam to decide whether you go for academic line or vocational line. And then you go to college for 3 years, no exam. At the end of the year, you decide whether you want to become a lawyer or a doctor or whatever it is. And it is number one system in the world. And USA, some of you are very familiar. Your children may be studying there. The undergraduate studies 4 years. Only in the 3rd year, the student needs to decide what the subject he or she going to major in. First 2 years, we say shop around. 2 courses in philosophy, 2 in theology, 2 in mathematics, 2 in romantic languages. The 3rd year they focus. Barefoot College in Rajasthan, where they train the villagers to take care of the TV, cell phone or anything. The 2 principles, the Bunker Roy says, never let school interfere with your education. How do you interpret that? And importance of values and practical skills that Gandhi would like to have it. So our focus is the people who are coming from the rural poor or socially marginalized people. They should gain self-reliance. From equality, we have to go to equity. Austerity, we have to go to enrichment. And from individual decision making, go to collective decision making. We could introduce solar technology, health, and hygiene. There is another one, Asian University of Women. I was dealing with them as the Vice President of Global Education, Geneva. They take any girl from anywhere in the world could come. Everything is taken care of, your education, but you have to be intellectually on the top. But we have taken the option for the intellectually poor or economically poor, but we should bring them up to that level. That is our. So what would be our strategic planning? The Jesuits have developed what is called Universal Apostolic Planning. After spending about 16 months, the general has come up with these 4 from the year 2019, this year for the next 10 years. Discernment is a way of life. It is not once and for all I decide and go. Keep on. going. Walking with the poor, because justice and reconciliation, that is the General Congregation 36. September 2016, I was one of them there. Accompany the youth, create hope in them. That is very important. Today's youth are lost. They're frustrated. They're confused. And we are right there accompanying the youth and collaborating in building up common house. Yesterday and day for yesterday, the Jesuit community was going through the orientation. One of the main thing is what we do for environment and ecology. We have certain program, how we can enhance it. The stakeholders are teachers, students, and the society, but our focus is the youth. Start from them wherever they are, but bring them to the level that we want them. So the goal of education is Ausbildung. It's a German word, is building out. What is inside, you bring up and build out. You know, you might have seen the ants hill. The ant bring the sand from inside, builds outside. They should have critical thinking. That is important for leadership formation. Not that I listen to everyone. You can listen. Sometimes when people come to me and say, this is what happened, but you may get some other complaint, I always tell them, I trust you, but I'll verify. I trust the people, but I have the freedom to verify that. And edukare means to bring out. Teachers, you might have very often heard, are compared with the midwife. The teacher and midwife don't put the child inside, but they bring out the person. We are here for creating social religious harmony. This is the Ubuntu principle in South Africa. I am what we are. The anthropologist went to a South African village, collected the children, put a basket of chocolate at the bottom of a tree, and brought the children to a distance and said, see the basket of chocolate? Whoever runs first gets the basket full. The children looked at each other, they held each other's hand, they ran together, took the box and shared. The anthropologist could not understand. He said, what is this? This is our way of life. Whatever we get, we share it. We need to build, especially today, social and religious harmony. The Jesuits are moving from faith and justice to faith and reconciliation. You would reconcile with the people who have been suppressed. Start from there. And we are the architects of students' life. The students should have the aptitude. That's what we are working. Whether you have passing minimum, whether you have arrears. But attitude is another one, the value. When the aptitude and attitude, the sky, even the sky is not the limit for your altitude. So we can follow this formula, aptitude plus attitude is altitude. So the transformation of society is based on equity and equality. Just I want to show a picture of this where you can understand better. The first is equality. All of them have the same. Whether you don't get the benefit, it is not my concern. But the second one is equity. Let someone needs more help, let me give more help. Affirmative action. The third one is even go better. Remove all the barriers so that you are free. Everyone is free to do that. So from equality to equity to universal harmony, we have to work. And that is the challenge. And that is our need. So the present scenario is, for one thing, you are going to face too many gadgets of communication, but very little effective communication. You might have read in the paper last year in September, children, the age group of 12 to 15, took out a protest in Hamburg in Germany. You could see police protection was there for the children. What is the placard? It is against the parents. They were taking the protest. The placards were reading, "Play with us," instead of smartphones. The children long for the parents' quality time, and we have to have a great job in that. Communication is very important. Whatever you do, communication is important. The youth today are confused and unhappy, and it's alarming to know that the suicide among the youth in India is on the increase. If you ever get a chance to read the book, The Geography of Bliss, a travelogue, it's very, very revealing. You think Switzerland is a beautiful country. It is beautiful. I was there 3 years. Very rich. But Switzerland number 1 in suicide rate. Greenland is another country where oil money is there, and number 1 in depression in the world. And India comes number 3 in happiness. Nepal comes number 2, and Bhutan comes number 1. And he says in Bhutan, everybody, everything have equal right in the house. Chicken will walk in, dog will walk in, pigs will walk in. When you are eating at table, the chicken will sit on the table. Everybody is happy. So he says, what is happiness? If you are content with what you have, you are happy. It's a fantastic book. I recommend that book, The Geography of Bliss. So there is a need to motivate, to find one's niche in the society. Self-confidence important. I tell people each one is created for a particular purpose. The puzzle, a big map will be there, 10,000, 15,000 pieces will be there, but one piece will fit only in one place. So each student, each person will fit only in one place. You have to find, and we are here to help them. So I always tell people, if you are in the world, you are created for some specific purpose. Find out. Don't get discouraged. You may not find it today, you may not find it tomorrow, but you have to find it. That way, the negative impact of globalization we can work. We can address the media pressure and influence by accompanying the youth. Mentoring is important. Role model is more important. More than what we teach in the class, what we are outside the class makes a lot of difference. For this, we need collaboration. Intra-collaboration among us, the department. Inter-collaboration, you have the other institutions, the Jesuit institutions. You have the College of Education, Business School, Engineering School. We have to work together. This is one unit. The first day I met the heads of the institutions, I said, I visualize Loyola campus as one unit. For academic purposes, you may come under different universities. For me as a Jesuit head, it is one. And we also have opportunity for trans collaboration. We have. In August, 10 students from Loyola and 10 students from Lisette would be going to Japan. Japan is investing a lot of money just to attract the students. Come and see what we have. Then later you decide whether you come or not. You have a program, LIAC program, and Lisette has got program They say this is a self-sustained. So we also have sports and fine arts. I used to tell the students in the engineering school, whatever you do, be professional. We are in a professional college. Whether you have entertainment on the stage or you are having sports on the field, you have to be professional. So we can bring in. And it is a tapering system. The student may have a lot of things unwanted, so we bring them together. I always compare the teacher to a sculptor. Only a sculptor can see a statue in a stone. It is said of Michelangelo, he saw a marble stone just lying in the street in front of a tea shop. He asked him, "Can I take this?" He said, "Sure, I'll be very happy if you take it." So Michelangelo went and chiseled off, removed unnecessary things. That came the statue of Moses. And it was so live, you can see the vein of the hand in that. And even Michelangelo at one point threw the chisel on the statue and said, "Moses, speak." So live. They open only half an hour in a day, you can see the statue. They asked, "Where did you find it?" It was the one that was lying on the street. The teacher is that sculpture. See in a student what the future of the student. Motivate them and prepare them for what they are. And there should be in-depth study and research. Research is a must. I do understand in the second shift there are some constraints, but still we should go for it. I just quote from the 34th General Congregation. Jesuit universities will promote interdisciplinary work. This implies a spirit of cooperation and dialogue among specialists within the university itself and with those of other universities. Inter, trans collaboration. We need smart goals, time-bound, realistic, achievable. At the institutional level, department level, individual level. We need administrative revamping, collaboration with co-workers. We need clear policy for admissions and appointments and the options and target. I have asked all the heads of the institutions, evolve policy, roles and responsibility of officials, and we have to follow subsidiarity principle. We have the roots in the Jesuit philosophy, but the wings are to be in the society outside. And ask often whether your goal comes within the goal of Loyola. Once that comes, the alliance, the synchronization, the resonance would help very much. And it is education for all. Rich and the poor. We integrate the rich and the poor. We try to give technical education. And we have to form leaders of entrepreneurs, religious, social, and political leaders. We should learn pedagogy of the oppressed and the marginalized. And it is a dialogical approach, because in giving we receive. I am very much convinced in my 3 years work with the Jesuit Worldwide Learning. Most of the time I have been visiting refugee camps and other places. You have to learn, you have a lot to learn from them. So in conclusion, I want to say, let us dream big, think noble, work wonder, and we can achieve greater things. For this, we need to work together. We need others. One can neither hug oneself nor cry on one's own shoulder. Life is about living for one another. Our life is for the wholeness of our students in the process of nation and world building. Hence, let our service be effective, meaningful, and fruitful. So I end with this request. Life is for building meaningful relationships, and education teaches one to cultivate them. Education is the key. Thank you very much for your listening.